What's up, guys? Intelitech Studios here, and today I'm just doing a little bit of work on these Eureka 4870s. See both these 4870s. So this is the turquoise one that I got first, and this is the red one that I got recently. So this red one had this brush roll in it, which is completely shot. You can see how badly worn the bristles are, and this end cap is just completely seized. This does not want to focus. See how it's like bent to one side and it's seized completely. And even if that wasn't the case, these bristles are just all but worthless. And you can see the difference. This brush roll actually came out of this unit because I had to pull the belt out of it too, so I figured I'd grab the brush roll. But the nice thing is that since Vacuums and Carpet Cleaner Guy, also known as Marco, sent me a brush roll for one of these, I have that for whenever I need to put a brush roll back in this one. But for now, I'm just stealing the brush roll from it because it's in really good shape. It spins pretty well. It's not perfect, but it's pretty okay. And grab the belt as well. I don't know why the brush fell out. Of course, that's not the right brush. I need to find the right attachments for it. But yeah, so I just washed the belt and the base tray. You can see this looks perfect, pretty much. And this base tray I actually pulled off of this turquoise one. So, because it was in better shape, wasn't as badly scratched up, so I just grabbed that as well. So basically I'm transplanting the belt, the brush roll, and the base plate from this turquoise one into this red one, because this red one does work. The only problem is that it needs the belt and brush roll and all that. So, yeah, because it would have probably just needed the brush roll, but the belt was pretty badly burned as a result of me running it with this bad brush in it and not checking it first. And of course you can see the hose on the old one's in good shape, whereas on the new one it's kind of patched up. So I'm going to swap the hoses as well. And once I do that, this one should be good. So yeah, so at that point this red one will be good. And as far as what this green one will still need, this one will obviously need a belt, because I'll have to put the brush roll that Marco gave me in this. This is getting thrown away. This is just too far gone. And once I put that brush in there, I'm going to have to get a new belt for it, because this one's too far gone. This is the one that was in this one. And then I have to rewire a switch into it, because the switch died, and that's actually why the vacuum stopped working altogether, was because the switch... Hi! Hi, baby. What's wrong? Meow. What's wrong, Bubba? Honey, I'm trying to do a video. Oh, you're fine. Look at you. You're so cute. Look at that face. Look at that. No, come on. Show the camp. Oh. Okay, bye. Anyways, where was I? So, this machine is actually under recall for the switch basically melting in the vacuum, and precisely that's exactly what happened. I went to run this right after I did the video on it, and the switch melted in it. And or I should say the switch broke and like shorted out, and then the wires melted to the housing were just completely bad. So I need to strip those wires off up where the switch is, patch in some new wires, and put in a new switch, and that'll fix that, assuming it didn't damage anything else. And then at that point, the only other thing that it'll need is the pedal release is completely missing. On this one, I believe it holds, but I believe it's like partially working. It is still there, but I think it's sometimes not like tight enough, so I might have to replace that at some point as well. And yeah, so that's that. And the bottom of this isn't perfect. The wheels on this one are actually in better shape, but I tried to pull this out, and there's this like weird little joint here that like anchors it underneath here, and I didn't really feel like messing with that, so I just left it. And yeah, so on this one, these wheels are actually in worse condition than this one, but another reason why I thought it was a better idea to fix up this red one, at least for now. I'm still eventually going to fix this turquoise one, but for now, I want to get at least one of these working. But this newer one actually has rubber-coated wheels, whereas this one has hard plastic wheels. So that alone made me pick this one. Maybe there is some way to put these wheels on here, but this one's in better condition already, so there's no real reason to mess with that. And I didn't mind, like, because obviously this base plate is supposed to go with this. I don't really care about these being super original to each other. It's good enough for me. So once I get all that, I know my local vacuum store has the proper set of double extension wands that go on this, but I'm still going to have to find the brush, the upholstery tool, and on this model, the turbo brush. This one doesn't have the bracket for it, but this one does, so I'll need to find the turbo brush as well. And once I get all that, get some HEPA bags for it, this will be good. Unfortunately, I can't find my seating stone right now, so I have no way of polishing off this motor spindle. So I'm going to try, this belt I'm probably going to replace at some point anyways, so I'm not too worried about it. It should be good enough temporarily, but if some rust ends up getting on this belt, it's not a big deal to me, because I can go back and clean that later. Obviously, this base plate comes off with only 3 screws, so I'm not going to be able to do that at the moment. Hopefully, it'll still be okay. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put this belt and this brush roll in here, and, yeah, batch it up, and we'll see how well it goes. One thing I really like about these old Eurekas is the octagonal-shaped end caps, and the fact they spin independently, the fact these brush rollers are serviceable. These brush rolls remind me a lot of Phantom brush rolls, which I really like. Not just because it reminds me of Phantom, but specifically because, like the Phantoms, you can pull these end caps off independently and get to the bearings very easily. So I'm a very much a big fan of serviceable brush rollers, especially because this is very uncommon. Most of the time, the reason why brush rollers go bad 99 times out of 100 in my experience are the bearings. The bristles usually don't wear out like this. Even after several years, a lot of times the bristles will be worn out very little, if at all. And, so this is relatively normal in terms of what you would expect a brush to look like, even if the bearings were bad in it. So, that's one thing to note, is that this, I don't know why the bristles are so bad in this. And I'm also not sure why this was given up so easily by my local vacuum store. I guess he just didn't feel like messing with it. Or maybe he was trying to actually buy the part, like, brand new, and maybe they don't make them anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if Eureka doesn't support this anymore. Which is kind of ridiculous, because a lot of people bought these, although they still sold these up until, I want to say, like 2013? Something like that. This one, I think, is from... actually, I don't know when this is from. When is this one from? Let's see. UU111, nothing there tells me a date. 4870, I don't see anything here that tells me a date. Well, regardless, I know that these were produced up until very recently. This is pretty much the last classic Eureka thing to get axed right when Medea took it over, to my knowledge. So, anyways, we're going to put this back on. See, are there any... Nope, there's... Oh, okay, there are tabs here. We got to line up and kind of line up right there, just like that. Push that into place. This is a little bit tricky. Okay, that's in place. Is this even in place? It feels like it's loose. No, it's not. It's on there. Okay. Okay, and then we're just going to grab the 3 best looking screws, which looks like they're actually going to come from the old one, because these 2 screws look really good. This one's, okay. And then this one looks pretty good. And these other 2, yeah, about what I expect. Okay, so these 3 will go here, and then these 3 I'll put in the new base plate. So, in case you're looking at this trying to get yours apart, 1 screw goes here, 1 screw goes here, if I can get that in there. And one of these days I'll do it whenever I replace this belt again. I'll do a proper video on how to replace the belt on this machine, if you're wondering. So if this isn't a sufficient tutorial, because I did not say this was a tutorial, then be patient. I'll be doing a video on that once I get the belt for this. Oh, hope I didn't just strip that. You gotta kind of do it at just the right angle for a Phil's hips screw. Get this one up here. Focus on that. There we go. For some reason, this whole base assembly feels loose. I'm not sure why that is. Huh. Actually, it feels the same on this too. Maybe it's just supposed to be like that. Alright, so just see, I gotta push this pedal back into place for it to lock. It doesn't snap back, it just kind of wants to do its own thing. Okay. Oh, that's heavier than I remembered it being. Okay. So, that's that. And let's see. Oh, what just fell? Oh, that was the brush. Okay. Put that aside. Make sure this still spins freely. Oh, of course it's upright, so it is going to spin very freely, because it actually shuts off when it's upright, which is really nice. It's amazing how some modern vacuums still don't do that, when this design is like almost 20 years old at this point, if not 20 years old, isn't it? Didn't these first come out in like 2001-ish, I want to say? So we're going to pull this hose off. And how do I undo this? Oh, I see. There's a little notch right there. You just gotta twist. Oh, except of course this is screwed in, but maybe we can ignore that. Oh, this is cracked right here. I just noticed that. And this isn't in all the way. And of course I can't get a good grip to twist this. Yeah, this isn't perfect. It has this little notch. Can I push this? There we go. Pull that out. And of course that's not going to come through. Okay, well, I tried. So I got to remove... Is it just this screw I have to take out, or I have to remove both of these screws? Oh, well, I'll figure that out real quick. Okay, so if you want to get this hose out, first thing you got to do is you need a coin of some kind. I recommend a nickel because it's the fattest coin. It'll make it not mess it up. And there's this little tab lock right here. You got to twist it to the unlock position just like this. And then you got to lever this out a little bit and you got to wiggle it. So that way you can pull it out of this section. But before you do that, you have to take this little bit and you have to flip this up. This little tab right here, you got to flip this up. And so flip this tab up, undo this lock, grab this pipe, and wiggle it until you can pull it out. And then once you do that, there's 3 Torx screws. One right here, and... Or no, don't listen to me. It's one right here, and then one right here. And then this whole cover pops off, and you can pull off the hose. So, the crevice tool's being dumb. So we'll just set that aside. And... yeah, so then that's how you're able to get your hose off. It's a little bit complicated, but it's not too bad. And while this is out here, I'm actually going to wash this piece real quick and spray down the rest of this. And now I actually have good enough clearance to grab this and twist it back into place gently without breaking this. Of course, this is trying to break itself away. So I'm going to hold this. It's really not wanting to cooperate. Honestly, that's locked in good enough. I don't think I have to mess with that, because of course this whole thing is moving around. So, yeah, okay, I'll just ignore that. But yeah, so if this little tab, if it comes out, if you pull this out for clog removal or anything like that, you would just... Oh, dust. Ooh. Okay, let's grab a vacuum and get some of that dust off. kind of half-assing that because I don't want to accidentally drop it and suck up some of the screws. But yeah, so I'll wipe this off and spray this down real quick as well. And I might swap this piece over. I'm not quite sure yet. But either way, I'll do something with that in the next cut. Alright, so I pulled the hose off of the old one, or off of the turquoise one, I should say. Just stuck it in here, put all this back together, although I still need to put the screws in to hold this in. And yeah, so I still need to put these screws in, and then clip this back in. So I'll do that now. I just kind of pulled the 2 screws out of the old one and then just kind of yanked the hose out from underneath by lifting this piece up. I didn't actually pull this off properly because I'm not really going to bother putting the old hose actually on it properly because it's just a parts machine. It's going back in the basement for now. But yeah, so I'm going to get that all situated. Okay, and now that I push this into place, basically you just push this piece in until it's flush, and then once this lines up properly, which it should if this is lined up properly, not this, then you'll be able to just turn that back into the lock position. And then now we can take this little clamp, push that down, and that anchors it into place as well. And then of course wrap the hose around and clip it into place. That part's pretty self-explanatory. So now this red Eureka SmartVac is pretty much done. I'll spray it a little bit more with this cleaner and wipe it down a bit more with this towel. And once I do that, and I'll also put this other one back together, and once I do that, this should be good. And we can hopefully, in theory, give it a quick run. Alright, so got it all back together. And yep, got the hose on it. Everything's back together. I didn't swap this piece over just yet, but I probably will do that at some point. But in the meantime, it's holding just fine. And brush roll spinning okay. Obviously, it's upright, so it's going to be in the, not engaged with the belt yet, but we're going to turn it on and see if it works. Hopefully it does. Yep, on high carpet, that's what we want. Why is the brush spinning? There we go. There we go. That's what we want. Motor has a bit of a long wind down, but other than that, it's all right. I do notice it seems like that belt is gonna be needing replaced pretty soon. You can tell it was slipping a little bit and allowing the brush to spin just a little bit, like very gently, not gently, I guess, just mildly whenever it was still upright and it's supposed to be off. But, once I put in bare floor mode, it completely stopped it, as it should. So, in the meantime, if I'm really concerned about it, I can just put it in bare floor mode. But it's still, excuse me, it still agitates just fine on carpets. You could hear it picking up stuff. At first I had it in hose mode. That is one thing, whether it's this vacuum, whether it's my, what's that new Eureka I have? Whether it's that, whether it's the clear track, any vacuum that has a dial to switch from the hose and the tools, I always screw up and forget to check the dial because I get so used to machines that don't have dials. But if this was your main vacuum, you'd probably get used to it. So if I was like using this in conjunction with like the clear track, first off, that'd be a really good power team for like really good carpet cleaners. But and it's funny how the platform that's 10 years older than this would have more product support than this does. It really is a shame that Eureka doesn't produce this machine anymore, or at least a modern equivalent of it, because there really is nothing that compares to this. A lot of people will talk about, these garbage department store brands, they suck, and not in a good way. This is always one machine that has an asterisk next to it where people are like, well, but this one's pretty okay. And I would agree with that. This is definitely one of my favorite Eurekas, along with the Whirlwind Lightspeed. Those two are my favorite Eurekas. I mean, I kind of like the Bravos, but not really, to be honest, because they are a little bit lighter than Elites, but I still overall prefer actual Elites. Or even the Bissell. Even the Singer Bissells I like more than the Bravos, to be honest, because they're just a little bit more interesting. But I do still plan on getting both my Bravos fixed at some point. And I think that's... Oh yeah, and then obviously my Whirlwind Electronic. The bagless one, that's the big cup. That's still sitting in my basement. I need to grab that and fix that up. So, slowly but surely getting through a lot of the machines that I have. But, yeah, so that's another machine that's been fixed. Again, one of these days I'll go back in there. One of these days I'll swap this piece over with the one from my turquoise one, so that's perfect. I'll go to my local vacuum store, the one that I was given this from, and buy a new HEPA filter for it. I'll get some HEPA bags for it, get a set. I know my local vacuum store has the set of 2 attachments that goes with this, along with the Victory and all that, and the Whirlwinds. But I don't know where I'll be able to find these other 2 attachments. And I don't know if the turbo brush from one of the Eurekas I have will slot in here. If it does, then great. But I'm not sure if that will. So I need to get attachments for this, a new belt. I need to clean the motor spindle and get a new HEPA filter for it, get some HEPA bags for it if I'm going to actually use this thing. It's not going to be a daily because lack of available parts. I'm not dailying anything where I can't get parts for it. With the only exception, the only possible exception, if it's a machine like the Fury, where I have so many of them that I'm not too worried about something going wrong, which is why I do sometimes daily the Fury still, even though that kind of flies in the face of the idea of, it being serviceable with parts. But anyways, so I'm rambling a little bit. I don't want to make this video any longer than it needs to be. I hope you guys enjoyed this little repair vlog for the Eureka Boss SmartVac 4870. And, yeah. So, it's up and running. This is Intelitech Studios. I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you all have a good one. Peace.